really very humbled to be here today, like amongst such great speakers. And where do I start? First of all, let me a little bit introduce what I want to talk about today. I'm hoping to demonstrate some of the achievements in this mass digitization project. And I'll be touching on the subject of digital transformation with attention drawn to the abilities and skills involved to make this project happen. It's pretty much on the topic of yesterday's closing panel, which was really inspiring. I'm particularly interested in the overlapping, transition, and merging of knowledge and abilities and skills related to broadcast archives, and I hope I can, after all so many great speeches, add a little bit to the discussion and thoughts about that. I suppose as an archivist, I believe we are custodians of memory and that need to intrinsically understand how information is conceived, processed, and retrieved. And I feel that our remit to preserve information and making it accessible maintains in the face of a progressively rapid and innovative technology that demands definition of future-proof rendering techniques and joining the watch out for extinct digital species, while simultaneously, as we've heard, the vision of accessibility broadens and the user's sense of searchability increasingly redefines. So with this kind of backdrop, let me tell you about the project. Magnitude. Thanks, Brie, for that word. Our project is to migrate and preserve and make digitally accessible RTE radio broadcast music collections that span from the 1920s to the 2000s and present in genres such as current affairs, cultural events, sport, news, drama, educational, concert, music, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some. Records in Irish and English are bound to the format of reel-to-reel quarter-inch audio tape and optical disc carriers, both dramatically at risk. Our task has many measures, so 80 years of broadcast history fits on more than 200,000 objects that are a complexity of artificial, natural, and organic materials, weighing 80 tons when piled up and can stretch over 40,000 kilometers when unspooled, I think, and measure about 270 terabytes of binary digits once digitized. I hear that's tiny from my TV colleagues. I suppose the team involved in this archive project constitutes a mixture of roles within and outside of RTE. And to name some roles, or as Miles has yesterday put it, domain knowledge, we have archivists, librarians, technologists, database developers, programmers, project managers, program managers, sound engineers, data and media managers on board to achieve this. While there is an abundance of hard skills presented in those professions, I've listed a couple of soft skills that I feel contributed to the project and apply to the multitude of roles I just mentioned. So what I thought it feels, or what I feel it takes, was to be inquisitive, methodical, logical, organizational, administrative, IT literate, collaborative, innovative, and maybe importantly, forward-thinking with an ability to anticipate and prepare for change. And apart from those soft skills, there were a couple of key aspects in our ability to move such volumes into a new era of content consumption, and as Miroslav and Konrad have mentioned yesterday, memory storage solutions. The first key to our strategy for mass digitization is to break things into smaller parts. I'm relatively new to broadcast archives, and I think I spent about 2 or 3 months just being overwhelmed by the volumes. Just every morning I went in and went like, wow, that's a lot. But anyway, we tackled this by, I suppose our strategy was to group by formats because we wanted to streamline preservation complexities inherent to the material and their closely related information management. The groups are quarter-inch audio tape carriers, for which we hold about 70,000, optical disc written in red and green box standard, for which we hold about 100,000, and compact digital versatile discs for digital data, for which we hold about 30,000. For each group then we went ahead and we kind of identified ancillary information, as it's known, just to kind of address the capture needs by assessing the availability of information in electronic and non-electronic forms. After that step, we group the tasks into activities relating to pre-digitisation, digitisation, and post-digitisation phases. It's a nice breakdown. For skills, that kind of means to be strategical, analytical, with a background in time-based media preservation. Information science plays a part, auditing, project and program management. Moving on to those kind of three phases I have mentioned, we kind of broke them down into building blocks. For example, for pre-digitisation, we have the physical asset preparation. For digitisation, we have label transcription. And for digitisation, we have quality assurance. But there's obviously, as you can see, a couple more. Each of these building blocks went into a much more granular workflow design featuring decision trees. And maybe to speak in computing terms, if, else, and else-ifs were applied to tasks such as listing and labeling, conservation work, information management. And the latter in particular prompted concept creation, solution development for electronic file transport, digital storage, and database ingest, in the absence of a MAM. This part of the project required to be inquisitive with skills on workflow design and collection management. And of course, gap analysis and problem solving are key skills here. This is my favorite little diagram. This was for the data ingest. Moving to the second key in achieving this task, and that is collaboration. And I think for this project I presented in a couple of forms. So maybe first was reaching out to our peer community and evaluating shared research. And this has informed the best practice standards at every step of this process for this important media lifecycle change. So FIAD-IFTA, the International Association of Sound and Audio Visual Archives, EBU communities were all vital to our study of requirements, and consequent findings have informed our collaboration outside and inside the organization. And I'd like to argue that the communal benefit of a standards approach is kind of central to sustainability in broadcast archives. Researching, outreaching, knowledge exchange, and as Adrian will know, communal management are important skills for the planning part of the project. Moving on externally, so we didn't do this in-house. We collaborated with our partner Picture in the Netherlands. They are a digitization specialist who shows a vast knowledge and ability for obsolete audio formats, and has outstanding workflow design and investment in people, processes, and skills. Those were kind of values that aligned with our ambition to complete migration and digitization activities in less than 3 years. So far, we're pretty much on track. 15% of the collection have seen it come out of the vaults and being accessible in our database via link. Again, the MAM isn't there yet, but we came up with a lot of inventive interim solutions. I'd like to give a big shout out to my colleagues in the room for sharing the pain and the gain. It's no easy task this far. From a skill set point of view, this means interpersonal communication, social and coordination skills were at play with hard skills in digitization, computer programming, data management, audio engineering, and magnetic media preservation skills. For us, this partnership really means to share specialized knowledge to detect physical maladies such as sticky shed syndrome. Most of you probably still know what that means, and deterioration of binders that occurs and causes loss of sound due to squealing and slowdown and shedding when played back. And well, I suppose knowing and deciding suitable remedies, that is one, and the documentation of such. How do we bring that process information into the new system? On the digital side, Picture was pretty great in computer programming and bespoke solution design involving Raspberry Pi computers and Bash scripting tailored to our individual needs. Internally, we also foster analog and digital media skill exchange. and collaboration with technology solutions, who you have met yesterday, accommodation and health and safety departments. For example, with technology solution team, we achieved the customization of broadcast industry standard technology that we otherwise use in transcoding media to perform secure file transfer, file integrity, and analytical functions for quality control. Our goal here was to support a steady stream of digital asset transfer via secure file transfer systems and quality control. And we were kind of responding to, well, I suppose there are different systems out there, but we were responding to IT security policy and also a skill gap analysis. And we wanted to kind of move away from hard drive deliveries and command line interface processing that was previously utilized for smaller scale radio digitization projects. We work closely with Telestream Vantage, and we incorporated open source quality management tool of media info to our digital workflows and incorporated the digital preservation principle of fixity by validating checksums on a file level. Additionally, we resolved our challenge. Was a big challenge to maintain the original folder structures. Maybe to explain, for some of the data on the disks, we don't have enough intellectual control, and we didn't want to lose, I suppose, the information and the way it was structured to make sense by date. But in a way, that ability enabled us to apply the archival principle, respect the font, and in other words, the maintenance of the original arrangement in aid for vital provenance information. On the hard copy side, we also showed some inventiveness. So for the preparation of the physical medium, we work very closely with accommodation and health and safety departments. In this collaboration, we have developed a solution that incorporated a customized industrial extraction device, which is originally used in or designed to facilitate assembly line welding, to function as a portable HEPA filter. It's extremely challenging to get a HEPA filter at the times of COVID, but we got it. And that worked for us as a kind of mobile laboratory setup. It's just that the buildings where we keep these assets, they're so challenging, and so we had to be inventive in this regard. Indeed, thorough health and safety risk assessment has devised several transport solutions to particularly challenging building environments, ensuring injury-free manual handling of 60 tons of material so far. Fingers crossed. To name a few skills here, being innovative, logical, technological, with a background in archiving, digital preservation, paper conservation, risk assessment, designing and solution development are important skills here. Just-in-time digitization. The third key for the project was our ability to continue progress in a parallel to developing those bespoke solutions, because they would sometimes arise just while we were already on the go. Consequently, our desired processes and outcomes had to keep tangible. The challenge here is to run a just-in-time digitization factory with extremely high dependency on physical and digital space, and keep resourceful in the face of Brexit, the pandemic, and the war. I think preservation, procurement, and logistics management were really important skills here, and this part really crucial for this part of the project was the knowledge of suitable equipment and measuring every component in the operation by the millimeter and the second. There was really this precise, and I think logistics management is one of those skills that I can see transferring well to the digital domain, where digital transport contributes greatly to workflow design. Speaking about challenges, another challenge we met was aligning 20th century documentation systems with 21st century data modeling ambitions in the making. Like before, we have counteracted challenges with consistent reevaluation, planning, and coordination efforts. Speaking to each other and the different departments involved is really important, and obviously by thinking big for our future information management. I feel, and that was resonated yesterday in the panel, that provenance information is vital to this task. And maybe just to explain, like the image up here in red that we see is kind of, you really need to be able to know card indexes, these kind of pre-electronic information retrieval systems like color coding, meaningful unique number arrangements, classification systems, they were all vital to this. So for example, in that image up there, with my knowledge, I can see that is a 7-inch diameter quarter-inch tape recorded at a speed of 15 inches per second, with a date recorded value that refers to the act of copying the media rather than the capture of the content. That is Mr. Eamon de Valera's broadcast speeches from 1954, where he addresses public housing provision numbers or shortfalls. So I think the key was that we mapped this information from those systems into spreadsheets where they were processed as part of the digitization into file header information and metadata sidecar XMLs, with the foresight to be harvested using XLST by our MOM developers. Hence, I mean, I think it's equally important to be skilled in harvesting information from electronic systems presented in the many forms such as tabular, relational, hierarchical, structured forms. I feel that knowledge is kind of crucial to the recovery of authentic metadata, and it helps us to inform present and future information management needs, as well as data modeling decision, which is apparently up to date. As skills to point out here, librarianship, cataloging, information science, information management, and data modeling. That already brings me on to our fourth and last key. Our fourth and last key is our strengths of our vision to widen access opportunities to the collections. We have achieved searchability for large volumes of content that never had availed of electronic database retrieval before. Well, in the moment, we have kind of our own little system of a low confidence search, and we're talking to each other in access and user departments to kind of, just to realize this is transcribed from handwritten label information. It's like what it is. But anyway, I think that is at least such a big milestone, because we can type in a date and something will come up, and then we can verify by looking at the label and listening to the content whether that is what we want to have. For Irish language broadcast discoverability, we will collaborate with Dublin City University, and this exciting academic research will generate a collection of distinct Irish language dialects with geographical visualization, and which will be publicly available. I think this resource will inform speech recognition that we have so much, that we heard so much today about, and can offer indexable transcription opportunities for us, which will allow us to discover Irish broadcast media content in a way that matches how we search for information today. So we're looking forward to that collaboration as well. From a skills perspective, data analytics, research, automation, computer science, and linguistics, especially phonetics, comes to mind. And as we're all aware of a major leap in information processing this year, I would like to stress the future importance of skills, knowledge, and tools in ethics and media forensics, or profiling, as we heard today. That will really play a key part in the evolution of our role as archivists. And I would like to thank you for your time today. And I suppose if I had a take back from the conference, it feels like that innovation and self-innovation are really required to preserve and make accessible time-based media in the future. Thank you.